Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday, and well, we always talk about the environment in some form or another, so let's not make this one an exception. Stephen, it's interesting times. There's the big, beautiful bill has kind of reduced, or is thinking about at least reducing some of the credits for clean energy. It's not going into an immediate effect, but as I turn around, I also notice that we seem to be making a lot of progress on clean energy lately, and there's about a million announcements, including ones from just about every one of the big cloud service providers. But what's your take on what's going on here? Are we kind of solving a problem, even though the politicians don't even know what the problem is?
Well, I think there's a couple of angles here. I mean, as you mentioned, I guess we could start with the bill. It has indeed changed some things related to clean energy. I should note that some of the worst parts of the bill that were proposed by the House and the Senate have actually been removed. There was a huge tax on wind and solar that was injected in there in the name of national security. Essentially, they were going to put massive, 30-40% tax on wind and solar projects that relied on products that physical components that came out of China, which would be, all of them. And so that would have really caused a problem. That's gone. That didn't get through. But what did get through is a phase out of credits for tax credits for wind and solar projects starting at the end of 2027. Many of the provisions of that bill, by the way, don't happen this year or even next year and happen later for political reasons. The phase out of the wind and solar, though, gives us, 12 months to start these projects and another 24 months to actually reap the credits for them, which frankly is surprisingly good news for the industry because it means that they've got some time to still get some of these credits. And frankly, by that point, I've said many times on the show that wind and solar is already so much cheaper than other forms of energy that the horse is kind of out of the barn in terms of tax credits. Maybe we don't even need tax credits to push these projects since the projects are so financially viable already. We certainly don't need a 40% excise tax on top of them. That, would cause problems. But frankly, just letting them run in a free market is probably going to cause them to grow even without that. There are other elements, by the way, of the bill in terms of renewable fuels and hydrogen and things like that. But let's focus on wind and solar. As you mentioned, there's other news here as well. Once again, we have major hyperscalers talking about adding wind and solar energy for data center. I have questions about that. I did some research into the background of some of these things, and it all kind of comes out. Is this all just sort of propaganda from the industry, or is this actually news? Because the fact that Meta is going to be buying all this wind and solar energy, the projects that they're buying from aren't located anywhere near the data centers that they're going to be actually deploying this power in, which means, it's fungible. It's a grid. The electrons don't have to come from this particular solar panel. But I will say that, in looking into the background of these things, these projects that Meta is going to be leveraging, for example, they were built in places like Ohio, Arkansas, and Texas with promises to power homes. In fact, the Ohio one specifically says that it's going to power 46,000 American homes. Well, that energy ain't going to be powering no homes. It's going to be powering AI data centers. And I'm curious what people will think once they see these big contracts come through for these big projects that were supposed to benefit, states and people rather than AI.
Maybe the Metas of the world will pick up people's consumer bills as part of this. What do you think?
Snowball's chance.
Interesting use of AI. What are these when a bill comes to the floor, especially these big ones? What's the one complaint representatives always say? Who has the time to read 2,000 pages in order to affirm what I'm voting for? Right? I have a limited amount of time to get my to the vote, and I got to understand all this. Well, you kind of don't anymore, right? Just hand the thing off to Gemini, throw it in a notebook LM, and say, I'm a representative for this state. What do I need to be wary of, right? And get your list back instantaneously. Now you know what you're voting on. Now you know what you're looking at. I think I keep saying I'm ready to hand this government over to Claude because I think it could do a better job. But either side right now.
I think a bunch of monkeys on a board might be able to do
I
it
don't
better.
Stephen, I agree with you. But a couple things. So, Stephen, you're right. Thank God they didn't go ahead with the Chinese tariffs that would just kill the industry. And I think even as we sit here today, wind and solar could go toe to toe if you took off some of the inherent bias towards fossil fuels in this country, especially. Right? I think we're getting to that parity level right now in a couple of years more. But in a couple of years, you might have a new administration. And, the great thing about legislation like this is what's done can be undone. The Supreme Court can change. This isn't necessarily forever. But here's the thing. These hyperscalers, say what you want about them, but they're smart money. They're smart money. And they're making their bets. They're betting with their money, right? They're talking with their pocketbooks, and they're betting on renewable clean energy because they know that that's the future for them. They know that's the only way they're going to do it. Is it going to be at the expense of consumers, Stephen? Perhaps. You're right. And that's a shame.
JP, let's bring this full circle and close it out before we run out of time. Might AI agents not write more efficient code that would result in less energy being consumed by infrastructure, at least more efficiently? And maybe we might solve our own problems, because I like it when technology solves its own problems.
I think it has a tremendous power to optimize its own approach to the way it's used, right? We're getting to the point where, with the right observation tools, right? Everything is data with an LLM. If it hasn't seen it, it doesn't know it, right? So it needs a feed. It needs a feed of data given to it that says, here's your power consumption model for, the past 6 months, given the body of work that you've been working on. How would you optimize this? Where do you see opportunity for improvement? And I think it can analyze it and give you back a rudimentary set of steps to say, well, I think if, this, and this happened, I would have used this many less megawatts. Okay. But who's feeding that? Nobody's feeding that data. Nobody's capturing, megawatt usage yet. And you would think that an Anthropic or somebody like that would be like, now we're talking almost like manufacturing levels. If I save a penny creating a car, it works out to millions of dollars over the long run, right? You're getting to that level where these guys are adding so much volume, and there's only so much compute available to them that it's going to become a requirement to say, well, we need to do more with what we have. We can't just keep adding endlessly.
Agreed. Guys, I need to end this one right here. JP, Stephen, Mike, thanks for joining. As usual, we have a full Techstrong TV schedule immediately following today's event. And a reminder again, tomorrow actually, Stephen, what time does that start tomorrow?
Yeah, Alan, the Tech Field Day presentations start at 9 a.m. Pacific time Wednesday and 8 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, and basically continue throughout the day.
So they'll be on Wednesday, it'll be about an hour after we end up here, and on Thursday, it'll be right after the gang. So there you go. All righty. Until then, everyone, this is Alan Schimmel for Techstrong Gang. Thanks for joining in. Take care.